News and Events COVID-19 on May 27, 2020. Note, this is a collaborative video made between Channel Knowledge About Coronavirus and Travel for All fanpage. Please respectfully welcome everyone. Following is the general news related to the world and events COVID-19 as follows. 1. U.S. News. Antibody tests used to determine if people have been infected in the past with COVID-19 might be run up to half the time, the CDC said. A top infectious disease expert says it's conceivable the U.S. could have a coronavirus vaccine by December. The United States is still the country most heavily affected by the COVID-19 epidemic, with the highest number of cases and deaths worldwide. In the past 24 hours alone, an additional 663 people have died from the new strain of coronavirus, bringing the total number of deaths nationwide to 100,468. However, the country's epidemic mortality rates over the past week are trending. The total number of COVID-19 cases as of May 26 in the United States was more than 1.7 million, an increase of nearly 17,000 from the previous day. Despite complicated developments, most of the 50 states in the U.S. have gradually reopened the economy and restored social activities. By taking control of the House of Representatives, Ms. Pelosi's Democratic side pushed for approval of the proxy voting system with 217 votes in favor and 189 votes against May 15. The new system allows legislators in the House to institute temporarily elects telemetry via a proxy if their representatives receive accurate instructions. In addition, a congressman can represent a vote for up to 10 colleagues. The new voting system officially came into effect on May 27 and is expected to be effective until the government terminates the national emergency decree to prevent disease. Allies in Trump's Republican Party allege that the aforementioned remote voting system is in violation of the U.S. Constitution as well as against the obligation to be present when voting by congressmen. According to Sputnik, up to now, a total of 58 Republican lawmakers have filed a complaint about the matter with the House Clerk's office. According to CNN, the New York Stock Exchange, NYSE, was officially reopened on the morning of May 26 after 2 months of suspension to stop the spread of the virus. However, the authorities only allow about 1 in 4 members of this exchange to return to work. They will also have to restrict movement by public transport, wear a mask and adhere to strict social separation regulations at the workplace. 2. World update about COVID-19. More than 5.5 million cases of COVID-19 have been reported worldwide, as well as at least 350,000 deaths, according to Johns Hopkins University. According to Worldometers, as of early May 27, Asian time, more than 5.6 million people worldwide were infected with a new strain of coronavirus, with at least 350,437 of them died. However, the world also witnessed more than 2.4 million COVID-19 patients, equivalent to nearly 43% of cases, recovered after treatment. 3. English News. He recorded a new milestone in the number of deaths. He is currently the 5th largest COVID-19 outbreak in the world, with at least 265,227 people positive for the new strain of coronavirus, an increase of 4,043 cases in the past 24 hours. An additional 134 people died from COVID-19 on May 26, bringing the total number of deaths in the five-island nation to over 37,000. The British government is facing criticism for its response to the disease. Scotland's Deputy Minister for Scottish Affairs Douglas Ross submitted his resignation on May 26 to express his resentment over Dominic Cummings, a senior advisor to Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who violated an order to block the country. Stop the spread of COVID-19. 1 day earlier, Mr. Cummings refused to withdraw from his current position on the grounds that he had done nothing wrong when he decided to drive 400 kilometers to the north of the country in late March. 4. Spanish News. The Spanish government has announced it will set aside 10 days from May 27 to commemorate the nearly 30,000 people killed by the COVID-19 epidemic. Accordingly, all public buildings and naval ships will fly flags at this time. In addition, according to the Spanish government spokesman, the Ministry of Finance of the country will provide loans worth €14 billion for the Social Security program to serve the fight against COVID-19 nationwide. 5. Brazil news. Brazil spikes. For 2 days now, Brazil's daily new deaths surpassed those in the United States. It now has the second highest number of cases globally. According to a survey conducted by the Articulation of Indigenous Peoples of Brazil (APIB) on 900,000 indigenous people in this country, the rate of people suffering and dying from COVID-19 in the indigenous community is double that of the rest of the national population. To date, more than 60 indigenous Brazilian communities have reported cases of new strains of coronavirus, many of them in the Amazon region, where people can only go to the hospital by boat or plane. The northern and northeastern states of Brazil have the strongest disease outbreak. Last week, the Brazilian House of Representatives approved an emergency plan for indigenous communities, which not only provided medical equipment and field hospitals, but also provided drinking water and food to the tribes themselves. However, this plan was also approved by the Senate. 6. Hong Kong news. Riot police in Hong Kong on May 27 sprayed tear gas to disperse crowds in the center of the city after the protest movement once again rose to protest Beijing's national security bill. According to Reuters news agency, on the morning of May 27, riot police surrounded the building of the Hong Kong Legislative Assembly as the council began a meeting to discuss the controversial bill. Police have also been deployed in special areas of the special zone as people continue to march down the streets to protest the security bill that applies to Hong Kong, which is expected to pass by the Chinese National Assembly. Although special zone officials warned protesters in the central area not to participate in illegal gatherings and implement social spacing to prevent coronavirus, many people still walked down the street along the streets, causing traffic jam. South China Morning Post newspaper said the situation in Causeway Bay was quite tense, with about 180 people were arrested by police. The crowd also gathered in the Mongkok area. Protesters tried to block Portland roads but were dispersed by police. Yesterday, May 26, Special Chief of Vietnam Lam Trinh Giat Ga spoke to reassure the public that the security bill will not greatly affect Hong Kong, but the tensions are showing no signs of abating. U.S. President Donald Trump also said yesterday there would be measures with China this weekend if Beijing passes the bill. 7. Chinese news. China National Television CCTV reported that within 9 days, Wuhan City had conducted more than 6.5 million COVID-19 tests for local residents. The move was aimed at stopping a second wave of COVID-19 infection at the outbreak after Wuhan reported 6 new virus infections in the community earlier this month. 8. Indian news. Grasshoppers raging in 5 states in India are threatening food supplies of the second most populous country in the world. The people of Jaipur on May 25 witnessed the locust of millions of grasshoppers flying millions here. Grasshoppers are happening in Ethiopia, Somalia, India and Kenya, the biggest in decades. The grasshopper population density in the Indian-Pakistan border areas this year is higher than normal due to the herd's invasion, as well as monsoon rains lasting more than a month, compared to every year that helped the continent. More reproductive but stronger, expert Keith Cressman of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization told RT. Indian officials are now dealing with the epidemic, as well as overcoming the aftermath of the typhoon that struck the country last week. And now the locust problem is putting more pressure on the New Delhi government. 9. Israel news. Israel researches self-sterilizing masks. The Israeli Institute of Technology, Technion, says researchers in the country are working on a special mask that is self-sterilizing and can be used repeatedly. This mask has a layer of carbon fiber inside and is uniformly distributed. The disinfection process will rely on the heat generated in the carbon fiber layer by using a low current of 2 amps from a standard source such as a charging port, a USB connection, etc. Hot and kill viruses ready for reuse. According to Technium, this highly effective and self-sterilizing mask can help countries cope with a shortage of masks in the fight against COVID-19. 10. The Middle East is still a hot spot for COVID-19. The COVID-19 pandemic continued to rage in the Middle East, with new cases and daily deaths remain high. According to the Turkish Ministry of Health's notice, over the past 24 hours, the country recorded more than 1,140 people infected with a pathogen, bringing the total number of COVID-19 patients to nearly 157,000. The number of deaths was 4,340 people, including 32 new cases. Saudi Arabia, meanwhile, announced that it had added 11 ill-fated victims of COVID-19 to the list of 390 people and added nearly 2,400 cases, bringing the total to 72,560. A number of countries such as Iran, Qatar, Syria, Egypt reported an increase in both the number of people infected with germs and the number of deaths. Our newsletter is now over. Thank you for always watching and supporting our videos. Knowledge of coronavirus, channel and travel for all fanpage respectfully, and see you in the next video.